No.
What's going to happen is
What was it that you?
they're going to sing it
I'll include it.
unison once. You can play along with that. I'm going to play just a drum.
Well,
And then they're going to break it into 2 rounds. They're just going to rap. And the second round starts. Right. And then at that point you can start a 3rd round, or you can improvise or in that mode. And then at the very end, we're all going to come back to this speed of drums again.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Ellen Quadgrass, serving in co-leadership with Kirsten Hunter, our Director of Lifespan Ministries, and in shared ministry with all of you. Whether you are here in the sanctuary or joining us from home, welcome. Welcome to a community that helps us rise to meet each day with open hearts, where we walk beside one another through what is heavy and share what light we have to help each other find our way. Our theme this month is compassion, and today we turn to the ways that stories help us practice it. Stories let us see our human foibles and longings through a gentler lens. They offer truth without judgment, humor without cruelty, and wisdom that lingers, quietly teaching us how to live well together. And as we near Halloween and All Souls, when the veil between worlds is thin, we're invited to remember the voices of the ancestors, storytellers and wisdom keepers who taught through tale and example. Today, I am so excited to welcome storyteller Ann Jennison, a longtime resident of the New Hampshire Seacoast and a storyteller with deep family roots here in the Northeast. Ann brings more than 30 years of experience to her retelling of timeless Abenaki, Wabanaki, and Northeast woodland stories. Her weaving of ancient tales with enduring lessons will remind us that compassion, humility, and humor are as vital now as ever. Thank you, Ann. I'm looking forward to hearing you. I'm also grateful to be here with Anna Howard, our worship associate, and glad to welcome Charlie Jennison, who will offer the evocative voice of Native American flute and be joining Johnny Pfeiffer and South Church folk, who will lift our spirits with their music. And also grateful to Ben Abbott, who is sharing our service with our online community. Today is an all-ages service, which means we all stay together, every generation, in this shared space of worship. The nursery is not staffed today, but children, including babies and toddlers, are warmly invited to play quietly with Jen Deldeo Berry and a few parents in the playground, or they can stay with caregivers in the pews. And the sounds of the youngest among us, their whispers, giggles, and discoveries are an invitation to presence. They remind us of the exuberance of living and of the community we are always creating together. I have a couple of announcements this morning. There are a few things going on. First, right after worship, Ann Jennison will stay here in the sanctuary for a Q&A. If you have questions about the stories or the Wabanaki peoples or anything that she has shared today, you're warmly invited to stay or come back here after worship. Coffee Hour also affords a chance to connect with the executive director of Remember, the volunteer organization that hosted a South Church learning journey last year. Their work supports the Oglala Lakota Nation, improving quality of life on the Pine Ridge Reservation. That will be downstairs. Also at 11:30, there is a Journey to Membership class and a Parents of Trans and Non-Binary Kids meeting. And at 11:30, you can hear Ron Schneider share about his work supporting immigrants detained at the Dover jail and ways that you can help. He'll be joined by photographer Becky Field with her books about New Hampshire's immigrant communities. If Ron and Becky are in the sanctuary now, maybe if you would stand so we can put faces to names. Thank you so much for being with us. And finally, a reminder that the Altars of Remembrance Vespers service is tonight right here at 6 p.m. All of these opportunities and so many more are listed in your order of service, including the green burial presentation, much awaited. It will be on the 29th of October, this Wednesday, and the South Church Halloween Bake Sale and Parade on the 31st. That's Friday. Oh, and one thing that did not make it in here, please mark your calendars, November 4th, vote, and then join us for an evening of spirit song and solidarity against rising authoritarianism. You will see details and a registration link in the weekly news that you received. And if you don't get the weekly news, feel free to let me know. We'll get you on that list. Phew. All right. Be sure to check it out. And now to help us reflect on the spirit of compassion and generosity that sustains all of this good work, I invite Rich DiPantima to share this morning's stewardship testimonial.
Morning. After moving to Portsmouth in 1999, my wife Catherine and I were in a spiritual desert, searching for an oasis to quench our thirst for spirituality. We were both raised Catholics, and during our lives we had an on and off, but mostly off relationship with the church. We made our final break when moving to Portsmouth. One Saturday morning in 2004, I was reading the Portsmouth Herald and came across an article written by Reverend Will Saunders of South Church. I found the article very interesting and thoughtful. I told Kathy about it and that I planned to make a reconnaissance visit to South Church the following day. I admit that I knew absolutely nothing about South Church or Unitarian Universalism. I assumed it was simply another Protestant denomination with the same dogma as other denominations. But having read Will's column, I decided to see for myself. As it turned out, this Sunday I picked happened to be South Church Day of becoming a welcoming community. There was testimonies from gay, trans, straight, bisexual, atheists, and more. It was nothing like I had ever seen or heard for in a church before. I sat there spellbound, expecting to be hit by a bolt of lightning at any moment. While I was not struck by lightning, I was struck by a sense of belonging, acceptance, and peace. I felt that I had at last found my spiritual sanctuary. Having spent a career in public health, which is the scientific version of social justice, I felt that South Church represented those professional along with my personal values. I went home and reported my reconnaissance mission to my commander. I'm a military guy, you know. We decided to attend South Church together the following Sunday. We were both hooked and went through the Path to Membership program and eventually signed the membership book in 2005. Fast forward to 2025, and here I am making a testimonial. I do not need to tell anyone here or at home that we are living through the most challenging and perilous time in our history. We have never been so close to losing it all. This is why it is more important now than at any time before that South Church continue to be a strong voice for social justice, freedom, and human dignity. This community needs us now more than ever. For example, a few weeks ago, 2 Portsmouth City Councilors sponsored a resolution supporting the constitutional rights to due process for immigrants. At the public hearing, several South Church members, including myself and Reverend Ellen, spoke in support of the resolution. Reverend Ellen showed up in full ministerial regalia, including a white collar. She was making it sure that everyone understood that she was there as a person of faith representing her South Church congregation. Her message was clear and powerful. Later, the council voted unanimously to support the resolution. I had never been so proud of South Church than I was that evening. The courage displayed reinforced my commitment to our mission. However, that pride was tempered by a feeling of loneliness and some disappointment. Why was South Church the only representative of Portsmouth's faith community to publicly speak out on such an important issue of social justice? The fact that South Church alone stood up for our social justice despite the potential risks involved was a very powerful moment. It said everything about who and what we are, It reinforced the need to ensure that South Church not only survives, but thrives during these times of uncertainty. We not only owe this to our community, we owe it to past generations of South Church members who stood up to slavery and injustice. We also owe it to future generations so they can enjoy the same freedoms and liberties that we have enjoyed. So please support the Mission United campaign as generously as possible so we can continue our important work. Now is the time to act on the faith in our larger community. If not now, when? Remember, fear is contagious, but so is courage. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Before we continue, we pause to acknowledge the land on which we gather. For thousands of years, this land has been home to the Abenaki and Pennacook peoples, the people of the Dawnland, who tended it with respect, wisdom, and deep relationship. We give thanks for their enduring presence and stewardship, and for the stories and wisdom they have carried across generations. We also recognize that our life here rests on histories of displacement and loss. May this acknowledgement be more than words. May it be a reminder of our shared responsibility to live with care, humility, and gratitude. And may it call us to the ongoing work of restoring right relationship with all people, with the earth, and with all that sustains life.
As we light the chalice, we share these words by Charles Howe. We light this chalice to affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our ways. That new truth is ever waiting to break through, to illuminate our minds. And that new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts. May we be open to this light and to the rich possibilities that it brings us. Now, please rise as you are willing or able and join us in reciting our mission statement that is printed in your order of service. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people, and we inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. When Reverend Allen invited me to reflect on stories of compassion from my childhood, I had to laugh. In Russia, where I grew up, the folk tales tend to be less about love and more about, well, staying alive. There are talking wolves, shapeshifters, trickster peasants, and the ever-terrifying Baba Yaga, a witch with whom I empathize more and more as I get older. It seems that these stories are meant to teach caution or fear, not compassion. So I don't have a tender story passed down to me, but I do have one from my own life, a story of compassion that was shown to me and that I'd like to pass on to you all. When I first came to the United States 33 years ago, I was far from home by myself, a student at Berkshire Community College in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and Don and Mary Lathrop opened their home to me. They volunteered to be my host family. Don was a professor of peace studies at the BCC, and Mary volunteered there. For a whole year, they fed me, drove me to school, and quietly became my American parents. Through their everyday kindness, their commitment to service, to social justice and peace, they shaped me in ways words, stories, and lectures never could. Very quickly, I realized that I wasn't the first person to live in their home, and I wouldn't be the last. Since they married in 1956, there has always been someone staying in their extra room at the end of the hall. Almost 30 people have lived there at different times. There were students like me, Tom from England, Yoko from Japan, Bobo from Burma, among others. Then there was Debbie, a pregnant teenager from Vermont, kicked out of her home to hide her pregnancy. She stayed until she had her baby and arranged for an adoption. Now, this story has a sequel. 20 years later, that baby daughter tracked down Mary because it was Mary's address that was listed as her mother's last known address in the adoption agency. And Mary contacted Debbie, and they happily reunited in their home, mother and daughter. And then there was a man I knew as City. Don and Mary met him while volunteering in a New York State prison. When he was released after serving a 28-year sentence, it was Don and Mary who picked him up at the prison gates. He didn't have anywhere to go, so he too lived in the same room at the end of the hall. For the rest of his life, he called Mary Mother, although they were almost the same age. Right before me, Churchill from Ghana lived in that room for 2 years. He's a CPA now in Pennsylvania. I see him every year at Don's and Mary's house around Thanksgiving, where they keep hosting us as family, though Don is now 91 and Mary is 88. Over the decades, some of us who've lived there have become a kind of family, bonded not by blood, but by love freely given. Don and Mary never said, "Be compassionate, be kind." They just lived a story that showed what compassion, generosity, and kindness look like. They built a life that always made room, literally, for someone else. And in doing so, they taught me that compassion doesn't always look like grand gestures. Sometimes it's just an open door, a warm meal, and a room at the end of the hall. Now please rise as you are able and join us in singing hymn 389, Gathered Here.
It's a multi-generational service, and we still get to do a time for all ages. And we're still going to invite our youngest, if they like, to come for a story. Our first story, we're going to hear one story now and two more stories in a little bit. So we often talk about Indigenous wisdom here. Today, we'll get to receive it. Stories teach us in a way that regular talking can't. They help us make sense of the world, especially when the world doesn't make sense. They help us think about who we are and who it's possible for us to be. They help us think about how to relate with one another and what can help us to do that well. And they help us think about how communities can find their way through darkness toward the light. And the stories do this not by telling us what to think, but with entertaining lessons that keep teaching us as we're ready. So Anne, thanks so much for being here with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. We are just at the beginning of the traditional Wabanaki storytelling season. Stories are told all year round nowadays, but traditionally they started with the first frost in the fall. It went all through the winter time until last frost, which is around here at the end of May. And because the stories were told at night, after supper, because daylight couldn't be wasted way back before there was electric light for anybody, the stories would have been told around a fireplace, and the storyteller could only necessarily see who was just close to the fire. So usually a call and response phrase is used. And the one we used here in Wabanaki territory is that every once in a while in the story I'll say, ho, and you answer, hey. Let's try it, everyone. Ho? Hey. Good, because when the answers stopped coming back, then the storyteller had to figure that everybody had gone to sleep, and that's the end of the storytelling for the night. So we don't want that to happen too soon. Every group of people has their way of explaining creation, the way our beautiful creation came to be, who made it, how it was made, why human beings are here, and what we're supposed to do while we're here. And the Wabanaki people have those stories too. Ho? Hey. So this is a little piece of the creation story. Gitsi Niwask, Gitsi great, Niwask the spirit, the God, great creator, was sleeping. And in that sleep was dreaming. Ho? Dreaming for a long time. And in those dreams, Creator saw coming out of the emptiness, the nothingness, creating stars and planets, this world that we live on, with our circling moon, beautiful earth, deep waters, creating the plant people and on the rock people, then the animal people. And these were all interacting with one another and the spirit world from which Creator came. Oh? Well, you can just say it really quietly. It's okay. So when Creator had finished making this creation and was standing looking around at this beautiful creation, it occurred to Creator that there should be beings who could appreciate the creation and take care of the creation. Ho? So Creator was looking around, trying to decide what would the best thing be to use to make the Alnabak, the human beings, those who would appreciate and care for His creation. And was looking around and saw here in the Northeast huge rocks. We see them everywhere, right? We call them the grandfather rocks. They're so big, the huge hunks of granite everywhere. Oh? Well, Creator decided to breathe life into them and make the rock people, thinking they were strong and sturdy and they'd be strong enough to care for the earth. So Creator breathed life into the rocks, and slowly they started to shape themselves into heads and torsos, arms and legs, and they rose up as tall as the trees. They were strong beings. Oh? Well, the thing is, they were made of rock, and so they were hard, and they were cold, and they were heavy. They walked heavily on the earth, and they didn't really care who or what they stepped on. Their hearts were not warm and loving. Hope? Well, Creator decided maybe he did not want the Alnobak, the first human beings, to be made of rocks after all. And so breathed again, and they turned into those huge rocks we see everywhere still today, all throughout New England. So Creator was looking around and trying to decide what would be the best thing, really, to make the human beings from. And as Creator was looking around, he realized that the ash trees were beautiful. They were tall and slender, swayed in the breeze. Even when a strong wind was blowing and they were bending way over, they always came back up. They were graceful, and they were flexible, and they were growing. Ho? So Creator decided to breathe life into the ash trees. And this is where the first human beings came from, the Alnobak, according to Wabanaki people. Because the people who were drawn from the ash trees were tall, they stood strong, they were flexible, they were growing, they walked gently on the earth, and they cared for the earth as we still do today. So that's the very beginning of the story of the creation and how it is that the people came to be made from the ash trees. And the Wabanaki people, even today, traditionally make baskets from staves that are taken from ash trees. And they're very flexible. When the baskets are still being made, they're very flexible. But when the baskets have been shaped, they become very strong, exactly what's needed to be flexible, but also to be strong. And that's the end of that story. Ho? Thank you. You're welcome.
It is time for the offertory. As we enter this season of stewardship, we remember our pledges sustain this church and help us plan for its continuing life. Today's offering is how we live those promises out, supporting the ministry we share here and extending that same spirit of generosity to the larger community. During the month of October, our collection will be shared with Al-Jawad Camp in Gaza. Al-Jawad Camp supports displaced children with meals, education, toys, creative activities, and much more. At a time when outside organizations are not able to get assistance into Gaza, the work of groups like Al-Jawad become even more critical. The offering will now be gratefully received.
And the world will be a better place.
let us gather our hearts and minds in a spirit of prayer or meditation. Spirit of compassion, breath that moves through every story, every life. Thank you for this quiet moment. Let us settle into the seat that holds us, into the breath that steadies us, into the circle of community that is with us in this moment. We bring what is heavy and what is bright. We bring our questions and our gratitude. We bring the ache of our world and our small but sturdy hopes. May the stories we hear today open us to see ourselves with kinder eyes, to see one another with more patience, to see the earth as kin and teacher. For those in our midst who are grieving, may you feel held. For those who are ill, may you know care. For those celebrating, may your joy ripple outward. For those carrying quiet burdens, may you feel less alone. We give thanks today for all wisdom that awakens. May we listen deeply enough to hear it and live in ways that honors all that is interwoven and alive. Let us rest here in this moment, take in the music, and pray our own quiet prayers and meditate on our own quiet thoughts. Amen. Now I welcome Anne forward to share our two other stories today.
Back on. That helps. At first, I want to say thank you. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you. To Reverend Ellen Ulioni, thank you so much for inviting me to come here today.
Thank you so much.
Really so much appreciated. See, don't get like that. I'm going to share two stories with you. The piece of the creation story that I told earlier is part of the Wabanaki collection, of hundreds, if not thousands, of stories. But the story that I'm going to share with you now, I'm sharing three stories that Reverend Ellen specifically asked me to share today. And this one is actually from the Tsalagi people, the Cherokee people. It was given to me by Gail Ross, who is the great-granddaughter of John Ross, who was the chief of the Cherokee during the time known as the Trail of Tears, when the people, the Cherokee, were driven from the eastern woodlands out to Oklahoma Territory. Actually, that's where Gail was born. This story is about communication, I think. Long ago, first woman and first man were new on the earth. They were new to each other, and they were just learning how to live in this earth and how to live with one another. And one day, early in the morning, when they woke up, first man said, well, this would be a good day. I think I'm going to go hunting. And first woman said, good idea. So while you do that, I will do things around here, and when you come home later today, I'll have a nice meal ready, something for you to eat, because you will have been working hard all day. And so they agreed. Well, first man took his quiver of arrows and his bow, and he went out of their lodge and headed out into the woodlands where he could hunt. First woman, she thought for a little while about what she was going to do, and then she took a basket that she had made, thought she would go outside and do a little bit of gathering, think if she could find some herbs and other things that would make a good soup. Well, when she got outside and she was looking around, she saw all kinds of brightly colorful things growing that she had never seen before. And she was attracted to them, so she went toward them and she started gathering them. She realized these were the first flowers, And they came in so many different shapes, so many different colors, so many wonderful scents. And she thought, first man would love these too. I need to collect these so I can share them with him, Well, she spent all morning long collecting flowers. They were so beautiful. There were so many different kinds in such great abundance. And she filled her basket over and over again and took the flowers into their home and found all kinds of containers to put them in. And their lodge was made from a framework of saplings that was covered over with bark and inside lined with mats. So there were places in the frame where she could even put flowers. And by the time she was done, she had their entire home filled with flowers. And it had the most beautiful scents and the most wonderful colors. She thought, first man is just going to be so surprised when he gets home. He's going to love this, Well, the day passed on, it started to get dark, and first man came home from the hunting, came in, showed her what he had caught, and he said, it's been a long day. I'm so hungry. Let's eat. What did you cook? And she said, no, first, look at this. Didn't you notice this? Take a deep breath. It smells so good in here. And look at them. You got to go over and take a close look at these things. I think they're called flowers. And you need to smell each one because they're all different. Aren't they beautiful? And he looked around and he said, yeah. So what's for supper? Well, first one was a little disappointed in that response, She said, no, really, you need to take a good look. And then, she'd completely forgotten in gathering all the flowers that she had said she was going to make something for him to eat. But she really, really wanted him to appreciate these flowers. So she said, come here, take another look. We'll find something to eat, but take another look. Smell them, breathe deep. And oh, yeah, they smell nice. What are we going to eat? Well, about that time, first woman lost patience. She didn't quite know what to say. She had to think about it. And frankly, she was a little angry. And so she left their home. And she turned her back to the lodge and walked toward the place where the sun was thinking about setting. And she was so busy in her mind thinking about what had happened, that misunderstanding, why first man couldn't appreciate the flowers, and also feeling a little sad she hadn't fixed supper, and trying to think what could have gone differently. And so she was looking right down at the ground as she walked. She wasn't looking to one side or the other. She was just deeply in concentration. She was gone for quite a while. And first man started to get a little worried and thought he should probably go after her, Well, he followed her tracks, and he walked for a long time, couldn't catch up with her. She was walking fast and just looking down at the ground and thinking. Well, first man thought he needed some help, so he sent a prayer to Creator, asked Creator to help do something, maybe slow her down so he could catch up with her. So Creator took pity on him and shone light down on the pathway to the side, right in front of where first woman was walking. And as that light shone down on the path, canes grew up out of the ground, and they had beautiful red berries on kind of deep purpley red. They were the first raspberries, But first woman was just looking down at the ground, walking. She didn't even see them. Well, Creator decided to try again and shone light down ahead of her, ahead on the path. And where that light hit the ground, a bush came up and beautiful fruit on them, purpley blue. The first blueberries. But did she see them? No. She just kept walking right along, completely absorbed in thinking about what had happened between her and first man and how could it have gone differently. Well, Creator decided something else needed to be done, And so shine light down on the pathway, right on the path, just ahead of first woman. And when the light hit that path, vines started to grow up. And out of the vines, beautiful little white flowers with yellow centers, and then beautiful red fruit. And first woman, it was right in front of her, and she stopped, and she said, oh, what are these? And she bent down, and she picked one of the red fruits and held it up. It was bright red, and it was shaped like a heart, and it smelled good. And she smelled it, and when she tasted it, it tasted like sweetness and sunshine. And she thought, oh, first man would really like these. And she forgot all about being angry. She held her skirt out. She started collecting all of these first strawberries, thinking she could take them back, and this would be something for first man to eat. Well, he caught up with her, finally, because she stopped and she was picking the berries, and she said, here, taste this. And she held one up to him. It's wonderful. When he tasted that fruit, all the anger that was in his heart melted, just as it had in first woman's heart. And the two of them started talking about their misunderstanding and how things could go differently. And as they turned around and started walking toward home, they noticed the first blueberries, and they picked some of those and added them to the collection that she had in her skirt. And they kept walking home, and they walked past the first raspberries, and they picked some of those too. So that when they got home, they had a nice little feast of berries. But to this very day, if you go into the home of the Salagi, the Cherokee people, often there will be something. It could be a placemat or a kitchen towel or a little decoration on the wall, but something that would have a strawberry motif in it. And it's to remind us that the strawberry, which is shaped like a heart, that it's to remind us that when we eat this, that the sweetness that is in our mouths should be reflected in the sweet words that come out when we're talking to the people that we love. Because when you speak the words, they go straight to the human heart. And so the heart-shaped strawberry is to remind us to speak sweet words, because they go right to the heart of the person you're talking to. And that's the end of that story, and that's how it goes. Well, I have one more story for you. This one is also from another tradition. It's from the Lenni Lenape people who lived to the south of us, part of coastal New York, some Pennsylvania, some Delaware, a little bit of Maryland. They're also known as the Delaware people, but to themselves, the Lenni. It's actually a story. It's one of the very first stories I learned now almost 40 years ago from another teller here in New Hampshire, because stories travel. Everywhere we go, everywhere you go, you hear stories, you tell stories. All human beings are storytellers. That's how we tell about our day, right? You know, if somebody says, what happened today? You don't say, my alarm went off and I drank my coffee or tea, I checked my email, finally got myself to work. You say, oh, you wouldn't believe this. You know, something happened that was so bad or was so good, and you tell a vignette, you speak from your heart. So some of the stories have become more encoded over time, and they're learned traditionally from teller to apprentices. So when I tell a story, I know the bones of a story, and those things can't change. So every time I tell a story, those essential elements of the story are there, but how they're fleshed out on any given day might change a little bit depending on, you know, who the story is being shared with, or where, or what's going on in the world. Now, this story came to me that it was so long ago, it was so early in the world that it was before the two-legged, such as you and I were here. And the animal people were much bigger than they are today. You know, it took me a while to figure out the animal people were much bigger than they are today. This is an old story. It harkens back to when there were mammoths and mastodons and giant beavers and saber-toothed tigers running around here in the Northeast, Well, according to the Lenni and Lenape people, it was daylight all the time. And one beautiful day, not unlike today, Kingfisher was sitting up on the branch of a tree, just enjoying the day, just taking it in, and across the river, swimming on her back, was Otter, and she was just enjoying the day as well. When suddenly a big fish jumped up out of the water. At the same moment, Kingfisher swooped down from his branch, and Otter started swimming for all she was worth, and they each grabbed an end of that fish. Neither one of them wanted to give that prize up to the other, so Kingfisher started flapping his wings and pulling one way, and Otter was swimming for all she was worth and pulling back, and yet Kingfisher was gaining, and then Otter was gaining, and that poor fish's eyes were bugging out, and neither one of them would give the prize up to the other. And they finally got angry. At the same moment, they both started yelling, hey, that was my fish. No, it was mine. Well, the fish took one look, plopped back in the river, and swam away. They were so busy fighting about whether or not it was Otter's fish or Kingfisher's fish, they didn't even notice. Now, pretty soon, over on Kingfisher's side of the river, all the bird people started yelling, no, we saw the whole thing. We saw it. Kingfisher was definitely there first. And over on Otter's side of the river, all the animal people started yelling, no, you do not know what you are talking about. We saw Otter get there first. Now, pretty soon, everyone was arguing about whether or not it was Kingfisher's fish or Otter's fish, and that fighting and arguing spread and spread throughout the whole woodlands. Nobody even remembered what they were fighting about anymore. But it got louder and louder and louder until Creator noticed. Well, Creator said, there's no reason for the animal and bird people to be fighting. They have everything they need. They have nice fur or feather suits. They have good homes. They have plenty to eat. So Creator decided to do something and started to weave. Creator wove for a long time until there was a huge blanket, and then took the blanket and spread it across the sky between the sun and the earth, and this pitched the earth into darkness for the very first time. And the fighting stopped. Because the animal people and the bird people had never seen darkness before. They were afraid. They didn't know what to do. But in a while, you could hear voices calling out to each other in the darkness. And just by the sound of their voices, they found one another. They came together in a big council circle. And then they weren't so afraid anymore because they were with friends. Now, they sat there for a long time in the darkness, not knowing what they were going to do, but finally a voice spoke up and said, I'm eagle. I have great strong wings. I have sharp talons. Why don't I just fly up there? I'll just rip that blanket away, ho? And they all agreed. So Eagle left, and he circled up and up and up for a whole day till he came to that blanket that was across the sky. He sank in his talons, he beat his wings, and he pulled. And he tugged, and he beat his wings, and he pulled and tugged all day long until he was exhausted, and he fell down and down and down, and whoomp, he landed right in the circle. Well, they couldn't see him. So they felt around in the darkness until they found their brother Eagle. And then they sat there for a long time, just remembering Eagle. And nobody knew what they were going to do. Till a while later, another voice spoke up and said, I'm red-tailed hawk. Like my brother Eagle, I have strong wings, I have sharp talons. He must have loosened that blanket. Why don't I just fly up there and I'll finish the job, ho? They agreed. So red-tailed hawk left and circled up and up for a whole day. He too came to the blanket across the sky, sank in his talons, beat his wings, and pulled and tugged and pulled and beat his wings all day long until he was exhausted and he fell down and down and down and whomp. And this time they knew that sound. Not a good sound, ho? So they sat there in the darkness, remembering their brother Eagle, remembering red-tailed hawk, and not knowing what they were going to do. Well, finally, a while later, a voice spoke up and said, I'm Bear. I'm one of the biggest, strongest creatures in the whole woodlands. I'd go, but I can't fly. What are we going to do? Somebody's got to help us. Well, crickets and silence. Nobody was speaking up. Finally, a while later, a little voice, small, from almost the outside of the circle, spoke up and said, maybe there's something I can do. And the bear said, I can't see you. Who is that over there? And the voice said, hummingbird. Hummingbird. You know, Bear knew it wasn't polite to laugh, but hummingbirds are so small. What could you do that Eagle and red-tailed hawk couldn't do? And she said, well, I don't know, but I'm willing to try. Well, they talked about it in the circle, and most of them thought it would be a big waste of time. But Bear finally spoke up again and said, you know, I may have mentioned that I'm strong, but I have no wings, and I hear nobody else offering. I say we should give her a chance, ho? They agreed. So Hummingbird left, and she circled up. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. It took her 4 days to get to the blanket across the sky because she didn't have those huge, strong wings like her brothers Eagle and red-tailed hawk. But she had a lot of time to think on the way up there. And she realized she had her own special gift. She had a pointed needle-like beak, and she had an idea. So when she came to the blanket, she hung on with her tiny little claws. She took her beak and poked a hole right through the blanket and pulled out her beak, and a single beam of light came through the blanket down to the earth below. She got excited. She started flying everywhere, poking many holes. And for every hole, a twinkle of light came through the blanket down to the earth, and pretty soon the bird and the animal people could start to see each other in this new twilight, and they started to sing and drum, and they sent up such a good sound that Hummingbird heard them and got inspired. Oh, she went zipping all over the place, poking so many holes in that blanket, it was beyond counting. She even got inspired and started doing the outlines. She even outlined a great big bear because Bear had stood up for her in circle, and a little bear too. But she finally was starting to get tired, so she circled down 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4. She landed right by Bear, and Bear looked at her and said, Hummingbird, Hummingbird, look what you've done, look up. And she looked. It was beautiful. There were so many twinkling lights in the sky, and she'd done it all by herself with just the encouragement of her friends. And from that time on, life was good on the earth again. There were those who really loved this new twilight world. You know, Al's eyesight got very sharp for hunting, and Bat learned how to bounce sound off things. And the little peepers started to make beautiful songs about this new twilight world. And there were those who missed the daylight, but they remembered what happened the last time Creator noticed them and decided to be quiet. And finally, Creator noticed the quiet. Decided that they had learned their lesson and decided to draw that blanket back from across the sky. And the sunlight came down. It was so bright it almost blinded them, but it was warm. Oh, it felt good. But Creator decided that there should be a reminder to never have that kind of fighting again, and decided to bring that night sky blanket back for every night, half of every day for nighttime and stars, and draw it back again every morning for sunlight and warmth. So that's how we came to have nighttime as well as day, and how Hummingbird put the stars in the sky, according to the Lenni Lenape, cousins of the Wabanaki peoples. And that's the end of that story. That's how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. Let us join together in our closing hymn. It is number 1072. It's in your teal hymnal. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Get the wrong instrument, I guess. It's in D minor, right? Yeah.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our heart and into the world until we are together again.
And a reminder that if you want to stay, or if you want to, Anne will be right here after the postlude and offer answers to questions. May the stories we have heard today linger in the heart, reminding us of what is tender and calling forward what is brave. May the Rock people remind us to stay strong without hardening our hearts and move through this world with care and awareness. May the strawberry's sweetness remind us to offer gentle words and small acts of love for the ones who walk beside you. And may the hummingbird's courage, small, steady, willing, remind us to trust that our light, however modest, matters. And may the light of stars, poked into the darkness by faithful effort, remind us that little lights shared together can guide us in the night. Amen. Go in peace. Hi, everybody. If any of you are here for the Q&A, please come forward. Come on down. Now, there's a lot going on today. If you're here for the Q&A, raise your hand, because we may just keep this really informal instead. Q&A, anybody? Just me. Okay, perfect. So we're going to keep this real informal, and thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.